A very good evening to all our viewers. Welcome to Question Time on Islam Live from the Ahlebait studios with your host Naveed Hussain. Our Islamic scholar Syed Muhammad Musawi once again joins us throughout these important and holy months, the holy days of the month of Ramadan. Take this opportunity to call in with the questions, with any comments, with any confusion that you may have about this holy month of Ramadan. So our Islamic scholar will try his utmost best to clear those doubts, to clear the confusion, and inshallah give you a satisfying answer. Sayyidina, good evening to you, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah bless you, and may Allah bless all our brothers and sisters, and may Allah enlighten our hearts and grant us more tawfiq to take the maximum benefits from every minute, every moment, every second of this great month of Ramadan, the month of Allah, the month of forgiveness, the month of mercy, in which the believers are being invited to be guests of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I would like to start with a Quranic verse saying, وَالَّذِينَ آوَوا وَنَصَرُوا أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ حَقًّا. And those who gave shelter and supported the Prophet are the real believers. This is a Quranic verse.
Subhanallah.
And we want to remember a great personality, a person who dedicated his life to the aim of protecting the Prophet and defending Islam in the worst situation among the mushriks of Mecca. The great Hazrat Abu Talib alayhi salam. Abu Talib achieved what no one else in his time could achieve. Among all the personalities in Mecca, Abu Talib was the most who sacrificed everything to protect the Prophet, protect Islam, to defend Islam, to stand against the evil of the devils of Quraysh, who tried their best to kill the Prophet. Abu Talib did what no one else did. And after all his great efforts, when he passed away, the Prophet was so sad that he called the whole year Am al-Huzn, the year of sadness, because Abu Talib and Khadija, both of them, passed away. After all his services to the Prophet and to Islam, it is very sad to see some so-called Muslims come and instead of being grateful to him for his services, which cannot be compared, they come and put allegations on him that he died non-Muslim, as non-Muslim. This allegation, which is against Quran and against the Prophet and against the truth. Abu Talib was not only a mu'min, but he was a great mu'min. Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, said that if my father gives his shafa'ah, intercession, to all the human beings, he will be granted shafa'ah for all human beings. He is the best after the infallibles, who are Muhammad, Ali, Fatima, Hassan, Hussain, and the 9 infallible Imams from Imam Hussain. Peace and blessings be upon the Prophet and all of them. Abu Talib's greatness is very clear for those who have justice in their hearts, who have got sense of fairness. Abu Talib, when Quraysh was joining hands against the Prophet, he was the person who was protecting the Prophet in the most difficult situation when they imposed embargo on the Prophet and Bani Hashim and all Muslims for continuous 3 years in Sha'b Abi Talib. Abu Talib did not give up. Abu Talib told the heads, the chiefs of Quraysh, of Mushriks, that you will not touch Muhammad as far as I am alive. You will not be able to touch him at all as far as I'm alive. And that's what happened when he passed away. After his great services to Islam, Jibreel came and conveyed to the Prophet the message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Muhammad, laqad mata nasiruk. Oh Muhammad, your supporter has passed away. Then leave Mecca. Allah is calling Abu Talib the supporter of the Prophet, and you people call him non-Muslim? Jibreel is calling Abu Talib as Nasiruk, the supporter of the Prophet, and you people, followers of Yazid and Muawiyah and Ibn Taymiyyah and the enemies of Ahlebait, calling Abu Talib non-Muslim? Who is the Muslim if Abu Talib is not? You are Muslims, Muawiyah and Abu Sufyan and Yazid, the open enemies against the Prophet? Yes, your Islam is Islam of Abu Sufyan, the man who spent his life in fighting against the Prophet, the man who led the armies against the Prophet with his son Muawiyah. You call him Muslim. And in Bukhari, unfortunately, you find a section, Fada'il Abi Sufyan. Fada'il Abu Sufyan, the munafiq. And the real believers like Abu Talib, according to you, are non-Muslims. Abu Talib was not only a Muslim, but one of the greatest believers. And we have got authentic evidence from Sunni books that Abu Talib was a great believer. One of them, which is also mentioned by the Imam alayhi salam, when a man came to the Imam and told him, what do you say about the faith of Abu Talib? Imam told him what people say. He said, people say that Abu Talib passed away as a non-Muslim. Imam told him, Kadabu, they are lying. How come he remains non-Muslim when the Prophet ordered every Muslim lady to leave her non-Muslim husband and not to live with him at all? And Lady Fatima bint Asad, who is one of the best believer ladies remained with Abu Talib as a wife till the end of his life. That should be very clear evidence for those who want evidence. Abu Talib is the person who recited the nikah of the Prophet with Khadija. Abu Talib was the person who was being given all the Muslim rights when he passed away by order of the Prophet. The Prophet was praying for him, and the Prophet mentioned great things about Abu Talib. Abu Talib was the person without whose efforts Islam would have never been existing as it is today. As the people who studied the history of early Islam, they have admitted that the prophethood of Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him and his holy progeny, could achieve the success because of three factors. Number one, the support of Abu Talib. Number two, the wealth of Khadija. Number three, the jihad of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali alayhi salam. These are three factors. ولولا أبو طالب وابنه, Abu Talib and his son Ali ibn Abi Talib, and the wealth of Khadija. I would like also to clarify that those who claim that Abu Talib was non-Muslim are not the Sunni Muslims. No, they are the enemies of Ahlul Bayt. Otherwise, we find among Sunni Muslims big scholars who have written books proving the faith, the iman of Abu Talib, like the Mufti of Mecca, Ahmad Zaini Dahlan. Ahmad Zaini Dahlan wrote a book proving from Sunni sources the iman of Abu Talib, and also another book written by a Sunni alim by the name of Al-Barzanchi, proving the iman of Abu Talib. And there is a list of books written to prove that Abu Talib was not only a mu'min but also was a great mu'min. We salute from here the greatness of Abu Talib, and we say Assalamu alayka Ya Aba Talib, Ya Mawlai wa Sayyidi, اشفع لنا عند الله بحق ذريتك الطيبة أمير المؤمنين والأئمة عليهم السلام. We will be always followers of the Prophet who loved Abu Talib, who wept on Abu Talib. We don't listen to the false stories narrated and fabricated by the enemies of Ahlul Bayt, by Bani Umayyah, who claimed that the Prophet told Abu Talib, قُلْهَا يَا عَمْ, say La ilaha illallah, and he refused. No, the whole story is fabricated. It is lie. Abu Talib was a mu'min, but the enemies of the Prophet wanted to claim something different. In the Sunni book called Kanzul Ummal, Kanzul Ummal has got a hadith from the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him and his holy progeny. The Prophet telling Ali, oh Ali, you have got example from different prophets. From my brother Isa, you have got an example. Because the enemies of Isa hated him, so they accused his mother. And your enemies, who are the Yahud of this ummah, out of hatred to you, will accuse your father.
Allah.
This is the fact. We seek from Allah by the great status of Abu Talib to grant us the shafa'at of Abu Talib in dunya and in after dunya, barzakh, and in akhirat, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you very much indeed, Sayyidina, for the opening of this evening. Sayyidina, you mentioned about Hazrat Khatija Salamullah alayha. As you know, in the next night or two, we have the demise of this great lady. Can you please shed light? How did this great lady help the Prophet, peace be upon him, and his holy progeny with her wealth? In what way? Can you shed light upon this? And what is the status of this amazing lady in Islam?
The status of Lady Khadija in Islam is the highest status because after her daughter Fatima alayhi salam, she is the most important lady after Fatima. As we have got in the hadith that out of all the ladies in the history of humankind, 4 are the best.
Subhanallah.
The 4 are Asiya bint Muzahim, the wife of Fir'aun, and Maryam bint Imran, the mother of Isa alayhi salam, and Khadija bint Khuwaylid, and the best of them, Fatima bint Muhammad alayha salamullah. So Khadija is the greatest wife of the Prophet. No wife of the Prophet is like Khadija. She is the mother of the best lady, all who is Fatima alayhi salam. And she is the grandmother of all the infallible imams from Fatima alayhi salam. And she is the lady about whom the Prophet said that I never had a wife like Khadija.
Subhanallah.
Unfortunately, the greatness of Khadija is not being appreciated by many under the influence of the enemies of the Prophet and his holy progeny. You will find different false narrations about Khadija, like claiming that Khadija's age was 40 years when she got married with the Prophet, and the Prophet was just 25, which is wrong. Yes, it is wrong. The real research proved that the age of the Prophet and the age of Khadija was similar. Both of them were 25 or 24. The age of Khadija was either 24 or 25, like the Prophet. They claim that Khadija was married before the Prophet to someone else, which is also false. Khadija refused everyone. Khadija refused everyone who proposed to her because Khadija, her status cannot be like anyone else. She only got married with the Prophet, and no one can reach to that level. So the narration that Khadija was married to someone else is another fabricated story. Many things mentioned about Khadija which are not real at all. So we need to be careful not to believe what is written in any book. We need to filter what is written to take only things which are authentic and leave aside things which are fabricated. The status of Khadija, take it from what the Prophet said and what Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam said and what the infallible Imam said about her great status. Salamullahi alayha.
Thank you very much indeed, Sayyidina, for shedding light upon this great lady. Sayyidina, back to our question regarding Mahir Ramazan. Does your fast become void if you have an internal examination for medical reasons? For example, the endoscopy with the pipe going in, or accessing, well, for example, examination from the rear, etc., etc. So any internal examination procedures that are performed by the doctors or the hospital staff, does that invalidate fasting?
The answer is this: any internal examination does not harm fasting as far as no material goes inside the body. If the endoscopy or the internal examination for ladies or for men is only pipe going inside the body, no other material, that pipe entering inside the body, either from up to the stomach or from down, it makes no harm at all to the fasting. If it comes from the mouth down to the stomach and no material is on the pipe, sometimes they put some lubricants or material, medical material. That material, if it goes inside, yes, it does harm the fasting. But the pipe itself, without any material on it, does not harm the fasting at all.
Thank you for the clarification, Sayyidina. Next question. So that can we give our fidya or sadaqah money to brothers and sisters in the family if they are poor?
Can we give the fidya money to our own brothers and sisters if they are poor? The answer, fidya is feeding poor people, feeding only. Fidya cannot be given in cash. You cannot give money. You can give food, either dry food, grains, or cooked food. Food, no cash, no other material. You cannot give him cloth. No, only food. Who is entitled to get the fidya? The poor people, poor mu'min, poor mu'min. Even if the poor mu'min is related to you, but he should not be your father or mother or son or daughter. You cannot give the money of the poor to your father or mother or son or daughter. Why? Because you are responsible to spend on them. But your sister, your brother, yes, if they are poor mu'mins, you can give them. Of course, it is always good to give them from your own money, because the hadith says, لا صدقة وذو رحم محتاج. There is no charity to others when your own relative is in need. So it should not reach to the stage that you give them fidya. You should give them more than that from your own money, because fidya is very small amount. It is one meal. It is feeding one person per day. Very small. You should spend on your near relatives who are in need much more than that. But in principle, it is permissible to give the fidya to your relatives who are needy believers.
Thank you very much indeed. We have a caller with us. Thank you for waiting. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. How are you, Maulana?
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah, brother.
Salam wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
Please go ahead with your question.
Yeah, I have two little questions. One is my son-in-law actually had an appointment for the root canal therapy, the dental treatment, because of his dental pain. And he intentionally, because he was heading for the appointment, say, tomorrow, and he has not done any fast for that day. Now, the question is, now he has undergone his treatment. The question is, if he has to do the qaza and, the kafara as well, or just qaza is enough for that? That's number one question. The second question is the timings. I live in Sheffield. Now, the Imam Barga schedule for the Sahri especially, their timing like yesterday it was 17. Now, these Ahl Sunnah timings are quite different. Like 3:30, they are praying Fajr. So 3:30 and 4:17, it's a big difference. So I was just curious, because when I was in Pakistan, Karachi, the timings, we were praying the Fajr before Ahl Sunnah, 5 minutes or so. Now, this much timing difference is quite big, actually, and especially Sahur is the problem. Iftar is not a problem, because Iftar after Maghrib, anyways, one can pray and, one can do the Iftar. So it's just, and there is one recent, in Qom, there's a Liva Research Institute software, which is the Isna Ashari software. Can we use that? It gives a bit of a, not exact timings, but nearly, yesterday it was 4 o'clock, and the Sunni timings were 3:30. So it's still half an hour difference is there, but so can Maulana highlight this answer, please? Thank you much.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you. We'll take another caller, Syed, now.
Yes, please.
Okay, if I can ask the caller to call back again, so we can take your question. Syed, now back to the question was regarding the first one, was that the appointment, the root canal appointment, whether the person has to pay kafara or qaza as well.
It was very wrong from the person not to fast because of the root canal procedure. Root canal procedure does not harm fasting at all, so he must fast. And the treatment will never harm the fasting. If some liquids, because of the root canal work, comes in his mouth, he can spit it out. So it was wrong to decide not to fast because of the dental treatment. When he did that, he has to perform qada and kafara as well, because it is a deliberate breaking of fast or leaving fasting. So qada for that day and kafara, as well as istighfar. And the kafara can be either fasting 2 months or feeding 60 poor mu'mins.
So that we take the next caller. We'll take the next caller.
Yes, please. Yes.
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalam, brother. I'm Naqvi from London.
Yes, brother. Please go ahead with the question.
Salam to Maulana as well. Maulana just said about root canal. But for Maulana's information and yours also, for root canal, we need to put our head down, and once it is done, or during the procedure, there is a water, there is the air, and there are chances. I have got it done. The water goes inside your throat, because you can't do it, because they put it. Your head is bent. And while the procedure is going on, there is a water, they wash it with the water and air. So a root canal cannot be done without taking the water inside, which they use it to clean inside. So how it is, it cannot, it can't harm Raza, because the water is going in the throat.
Okay. The water which is used in the root canal procedure usually is either being sucked by suckers, or they ask the patient to spit it out. They don't let him drink it. That water does not go inside the stomach. Yes, it will remain inside the mouth for a while, but either they suck it or they ask him to spit it out. And that's it. Does not harm the fasting.
Thank you very much for the clarification. So the second part of the question was regarding the huge time difference between the Fajr prayers, between like 3:30 and one is doing it 17 minutes past 4 in the morning. So, how do they differentiate? I mean, why is there such a huge time difference between the two?
And the difference in the timings of Fajr namaz is due to the difference of the angle. How to define the start of Fajr? Especially in North Europe, it is difficult to watch the real Fajr. Usually, in many countries, when you go out of the city and try to watch when the Fajr starts, means when the light starts in the horizon, that increasing light, you can watch it and see it. But in Northern Europe, for many reasons, it is difficult to see it in the cities. So some people take the angle of 18 or 16 or 14, according to the different angles of the Fajr, the timing is different. The solution is rely on the most authentic source whom you know from the followers of Ahlebait. Most authentic source of people who have got experience, and no doubt they must be followers of Ahlebait, and then you can act upon them. That's it.
Thank you. So that we take a next caller. Thank you for waiting. Assalamu alaikum. Please go ahead with the question, brother.
So my question is regarding Khums. And obviously, we take Khums as 20% of our annual savings. And I just wanted to ask about, can we pay Khums to our relatives, who are in dire need? Because obviously, we pay Khums to Azara Trust or many other idaras or to the Marjah themselves. But if I want to pay Khums to my relative who is in dire need, can I give them the Khums? Do I have to ask my Marjah about it? And when I give the Khums to that relative who is in dire need, do I have to tell them it's Khums, or just give them as in helping nature?
Okay. Thank you very much, brother. Thank you.
The first part of the question, can we give Khums to our needy relatives? The answer, Khums is not a voluntary charity. Khums is an obligatory 20% out of what we have extra after spending on our livelihood. Whatever remains, 20% is obligatory to be given as Khums, and 80% remains for us. So it is always good to give the Khums to the people entitled to take it. And if you want to help your own relatives, friends, neighbors, help them from your own money, the 80% which is for you. But in case you don't want to help them from your own money, you want to help them from the money of Khums. Money of Khums is two parts. Half of Khums money is called Sahm Saadat, which is the share of needy, pious Sadat. And the other half is called Sahm Imam. Sahm Sadat can be given to needy Sadat. So if you have in your relatives a needy Syed who is related to you, or a friend or neighbor or anyone who is needy, pious Syed means abiding the Sharia rules, then you can give him from Sahm Sadat. And you don't need to tell him that this is from Sahm Sadat or this is from Khums. No, you don't need to tell him. If you don't want to give from Sahm Sadat, you want to give from Sahm Imam, because your relatives are non-Sayyids, then you need to ask and take permission from the Marja of Taqleed to give part of your Sahm Imam to your own needy relatives. Yes, please.
And Sayyidina, his second part of the question was whether you tell them. If when you give it, do you tell them it's
I said no.
Okay.
I said no. It is not required at all to tell them that it is from Khums. You can give it to them without telling them that it is from Khums. Of course, I said that if it was Sahm Sadat, it can be given to needy Sadat. If it is Sahm Imam, you need to take permission from the Marja of Taqleed to use part of Sahm Imam in helping your needy relatives.
Thank you very much indeed, Sayyidina. Sayyidina, question regarding birthstones, the birthstones. Now, first of all, do anything like birthstones exist? If so, should we wear rings that are according to our birth months? So, for example, there are particular birthstones associated with each of the months of the year. Is this has any significance in Islam? If so, should we wear such stones?
No. We don't have in the authentic books which we have from Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam any specific stones which are related with the date of birth. So it is something in some countries, it might be related to the culture of that country, but we don't have it in the authentic hadiths or narrations from the Prophet and Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. As far as I know, I have not seen hadiths, authentic hadiths, which tells you don't wear any stone, but first check your birth month and date of your birth. No, that is not. We have got, it is recommended to wear Aqeel. Always when you wear Aqeel, it is good for you. No need to ask your date of birth, your mother's name, your father's name. This matter, these information are not mentioned at all in the authentic narrations. Wear Aqeel, wear Fairuzaj, wear Marjan, wear Hadid al-Sini, wear Ruby, any stone which is good to wear according to the hadith is good to wear without the calculation of date, mother, date of birth, or mother's name or father's name, and so on.
Thank you for the clarification, Sayyidina. Sayyidina, if we receive letters addressed to an individual that does not live in your house, and you keep receiving such letters addressed to this particular individual, do we, number one, are we allowed to open these letters and see what these letters are about? Or do we just bin those letters, throw those away? Or do we try returning them to the post office? What do we do in this instance?
Do you know this person? Do you have any possibility that this person lived here somewhere, sometime in the past? So if you have possibility that you can reach to him, then you should inform him to come and collect his letters. But if you don't know him at all, I don't say to open it, because it does not belong to you. but you can return it back as you don't know who is this person. When you don't know the person who is the addressee, not unknown, so you say you can send it back as return to sender because you don't know the person who is mentioned in the letter, without opening it, because it does not belong to us, and we are not entitled to open a letter which does not belong to us.
Thank you very much indeed, Sayyidina. So the next question, Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
If a friend folds the prayer mat while I am praying, does this invalidate my salah, and will I have to offer the salah again? If I unfold it when I go to perform sajda, does this also invalidate the prayer?
Neither nor. Neither folding your prayer mat invalidates your salah, nor your folding it invalidates your salah. Both acts do not harm your salah at all.
Thank you very much indeed, Sayyidina. So is wearing red color clothes for salah permissible or impermissible?
It is not haram to wear red color, especially for the ladies. For the ladies, it is not haram. But the cloth should be according to the full hijab. As you know, the female should cover all her head and body except the face and the two hands. If the cloth is covering, so it is not haram to wear it in the red color. But after all, it is not something which is encouraged, especially for men. Especially for men, but it is not haram. Yes, please.
Thank you very much indeed. Just like to remind our viewers, those who are trying to call in, do try calling in. Sometimes the line does get cut. We do apologize. So do try calling in, and you will be put on hold until our Islamic scholar answers his questions. Sayyidina, is it sunnah to apply henna to dye your beard or your hair, or should you allow the natural white hair to come out? I mean, what's the reason for this? Is it just to stay young, or should you allow when you are getting old, when white hair comes, that's how you should accept? If you could shed light upon this.
And the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him and his holy progeny, and the infallible Imams, it is recommended to dye your hair. When the hair goes gray, it is recommended to dye your hair. We have got hadith, تخضبوا, means dye your hair either by henna or any color, which is usual color. It should not be abnormal color. I don't say to dye red, like some of our Muslim brothers who use the red, which is not mentioned in our authentic hadiths. So it is recommended to use the henna or any color to dye your hair, head, and beard for men. So it is recommended no matter what is your age at all. We have got maraja of taqleed who are in their 80s or more, and they dye their beard always because it is recommended.
Thank you very much indeed. Say that, you know, we are passing through these very holy days of the month of Ramadan. What is the best way, being in the state of Saum, Salah, and Tasbih? What are the different ways to connect with our living Imam? What is the most effective way to connect with our Tawfiq Imam, especially during these holy days?
the best way to connect with our Imam is to be pious completely, implementing all the obligatories and avoiding all the haram acts. Then gifting good deeds to the Imam. Though the Imam does not need our good deeds, but we need to be near to him. Many of the ulama say that whatever Quran I recite in the month of Quran, in the month of Ramadan, which is the month of Quran, I do the niyyah that I'm gifting the reward of what I recite to my Imam. If my Imam accepts my gift, I'm so lucky. So, number one, being pious in wajibat and avoiding sinful acts. Number two, doing maximum sincere good deeds and gifting the reward to the Imam alayhi salam.
SubhanAllah. Thank you very much indeed, Sayyidina. Sayyidina, when a person is studying, can one have the Quran being played in the background? So you're concentrating, you're working, you're studying, more like, or even working. Can you have the Quran being played in the background? Or when you're in a mahfil, can you have the Quran being played in the background?
Always it is good to listen to Quran. We have got authentic hadiths about listening to Quran. See, the hadith which we have got about listening to the Quran, that if you listen to the Quran, Allah will protect you from the difficulties in this life. من استمع إلى آية. If you listen to one verse of Quran, listen, Allah will protect you from the difficulties of this life. And if you recite one verse, Allah will protect you from the difficulties of this life and hereafter. So always it is good to listen to the Quranic recitation. But when Quran is being played, the recitation, don't ignore it. Don't talk to others. You should always show the respect to the recitation of Quran, because Allah in Quran says, وَإِذَا قُرِئَ الْقُرْآنُ فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ وَأَنصِتُوا لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. When Quran is being recited, then listen and be quiet so that you will be showered with the mercy of Allah. Listen to the recitation and don't ignore it, and don't stop it when you can continue listening, but keep the respect of it.
Thank you very much indeed. Sayyidina, we have come to the end of our show this evening. I'd like to thank all those who have called in, and also thank you for answering the questions. We will inshallah continue at the same time next week. Keep our